So James DeGale has announced today that he will be retiring from boxing, and I'm actually glad about that because I do think that DeGale needed to retire, and I was a bit worried when he didn't announce it straight after the Eubank Jr. fight in the weekend that he wasn't retiring. Obviously, he's retiring in the wake of his loss, excuse me, over the weekend to Chris Eubank Jr. on points, and I think James DeGale needed to retire. I think that his career has been on the decline pretty much since the Badu Jack fight. I think the Badu Jack fight took what was left of James DeGale and just got rid of it. Because after the Badu Jack fight, he was getting hurt a lot more by guys like Truax, by Eubank Jr. Obviously, Eubank Jr. is not feather fisted, but he's definitely not a devastating puncher. I would say pound for pound, I would say Badu Jack probably hits harder. But DeGale, in terms of his just timing, his reflexes probably, his punch resistance, pretty much everything was gone at this stage, and it's been pretty much gone since the Badu Jack fight. He won that Truax rematch, obviously he won it, fair is fair, but he done a lot of kind of dirty tricks in that fight as well to win it. So I think DeGale, the time was right for him to retire. He's made his money, he's won an Olympic gold medal, he's won 2 world titles, obviously in one division, but he's won 2 world titles. He's only lost 3 fights, and he's avenged one of them, and the other 2 lost with the George Groves, a very, very good fighter, and to Chris Eubank Jr., who we don't know how good he can be, but Chris Eubank Jr., he's a name. Excuse me. He is a good name. Alright? So James DeGale should, leave this sport with his head held high. He's done everything he needs to do. He's not... I forget how old DeGale is. I know he's in his 30s. But, DeGale, as far as I know, he's all his faculties. He has money. He's set for life. He should be happy. Now, no sooner has James DeGale retired that Carl Froch, good old Carl Froch, plastic knows himself, has come out with the woodwork to, give an interview to TalkSport where he's, kind of had his 2 cents on this. And before I get into this, what I'm going to say here, Carl Froch as a fighter was a fantastic fighter. He was value for money. He was a warrior. He was a fantastic super middleweight. And Carl Froch as a fighter, he deserves nothing but credit. As a person, this guy's a prick. Let's not beat around the bush here. This guy's a goddamn prick. So Carl Froch's giving an interview to TalkSport. Now, I'm going to read bits of it. So it says here that Carl Froch's basically saying about James DeGale. And he's saying that if we'd met in my career, in obviously Carl Froch's career, I'd have been too strong for him. I'd have backed him up onto the ropes. He'd have sat there with his guard up and I'd have absolutely smashed him to bits. He said a few things about how I retired rather than fight him. And he was all wrong for me stylistically and he would have beaten me. This is what he was suggesting. I mean, he lost to George Groves. I knocked George Groves out twice. He's never shy of saying that, Carl Froch. Chris Eubank Jr. lost to Groves. So on paper, James DeGale, you don't really belong in the same ring as me. Now, those are the words of Carl Froch. First things first, I want to just chuck something out one there, is Carl Froch has obviously never heard the saying, styles make fights. Just because one fighter beats another fighter doesn't mean that every other fighter wins. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. Thomas Hearns knocked Roberto Duran out in 2 rounds. Thomas Hearns got knocked out by Ray Leonard in 14 rounds. Ray Leonard lost to Roberto Duran. Right? Styles make fights. Let's not beat around the bush here. Boxing is not you beat him so I beat him. Tony Harrison beat Jamel Charlo. Gerard Hurd beat Tony Harrison. Realistically, Charlo would have a field day with Hurd if they ever fought. Right? So Carl Froch straight off the bat, he's talking out of his you-know-what there. Stylistically, James DeGale, I think, would have given Carl Froch an awful lot of problems. I think was it 2015? It was 2015 when they were talking about meeting, just before Carl Froch retired. James DeGale, I'm not saying he would have beaten Carl Froch, but he would have given Carl Froch, a good showing. He would have been able to, use his movement because his timing was a lot better back then. His slick movement, his southpaw angles. I think he would have had a good chance of beating Carl Froch if you ask me my opinion on that. So Carl Froch is just, he's playing up to his ego again, as he always does. Carl Froch, he's like a troll. Amir Khan, people say is troll, and to an extent he is. But with Amir Khan, it's funny. In a way it's funny. But with Carl Froch, you don't get that humour. He's, with Amir Khan, it is like, it's kind of funny when you see Amir Khan come out with certain things. You kind of giggle at it. And, you just think, like, is this guy serious? Is he trolling, or what's the story? It's like that deluded Amir Khan Twitter page, which is a parody of Amir Khan. It's very hard to tell the difference between that and the real Amir Khan. It just he'd just be funny. He's funny, Amir Khan. And a part of me thinks he does it just for a laugh. But Carl Froch, I think he comes out with all this crap just because he thinks it's true. Every time a rival of his retires, Andre Ward retires, he gives Andre Ward nothing but stick in his interview, saying Ward wasn't this, he wasn't that, he was boring. And then he has the audacity to come out and say that he's not bitter. BS. George Groves, he doesn't give George Groves the credit he deserves. Definitely not. George Groves had Carl Froch hurt bad in that fight, in the first fight. And he's lucky, Carl Froch, there wasn't another 30 seconds left in that first round. James Degale, fair enough, they never fought. He was Carl Froch's mandatory. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened. Carl Froch, I believe, vacated the IBF title before he retired. So he vacated that title, and Degale fought Darrell for the, vacant title. And that was before Carl Froch retired, I believe. So Carl Froch doesn't do himself any favours when he goes on these interviews. He needs that guy. I just don't know. I really don't know about that guy. Carl Froch, he does himself no favours, and I don't understand why Sky keep interviewing him about all these guys, because it's just the same crap every single time. Every single goddamn time when they interview Carl Froch, he takes digs at his, rivals. We're not going to say opponents because they never fought Degale and Froch, but it's always these digs at these rivals. And does he ever give them anything good to say? He might say one or two good things, but it always comes back to him. He's just beyond narcissistic, this guy. And I just don't understand why Sky and people like TalkSport, I know it was TalkSport he gave the interview with, I don't understand why they give him the time of day. I really don't. But, those are my thoughts on this anyway. I just thought I'd get it out there. So, but back onto what the original subject was that James Degale, fantastic career. I hope he's made a lot of money. I hope he enjoys his life. And I hope he can find something other than boxing to kind of keep himself, going or entertained, because there is a world outside of boxing, definitely. So, I wish James Degale nothing but the best, and I hope he has a fantastic life, and I hope that, he doesn't come back to boxing, because I think he's past his best now, and I would not like to see him return. So, I hope he enjoys himself. I hope he has a fantastic retirement, and, thank you for the memories, because I've seen James Degale over the years, and, he's always had good fights, definitely. Porky Medina, Badu Jack, George Groves, all good fights. So, those are my thoughts on this. As always, leave your thoughts down below. Do you agree with Carl Froch? Do you think that, he beat George Groves, so he would have smacked James Degale? I certainly don't think that. I think Degale had a good chance in that fight. Leave your thoughts down below, and as always, I will talk to you after.